Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Victor Puente and Andrea Walker. That second one sounded better.
Two.
Episode 2. The dose.
Happening 5 minutes apart. Less than 5 minutes apart.
Don't ruin the magic. Yeah, if you listen to last
cut that
week.
out, right?
No, I'm not cutting anything out.
Oh, no.
No, I'm definitely cutting stuff out from
That's
last week.
scary.
Mainly just awkward pauses because you all don't need to hear us thinking.
I don't have awkward pauses. I don't know.
My life is an awkward pause. So last week
That would be a great biography title.
My life is an awkward pause? Oh,
Yes.
my goodness. Don't steal that.
Trademark it.
All right, I'll get on that.
All right, do it.
By the time you've listened to this, I've already trademarked that.
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. I haven't. I'm lazy. So last week, I interviewed you.
Mm-hmm.
This week,
It's your turn.
the tables have turned.
Yes. My quarter.
Which is a little terrifying.
My
Oh,
own
also, last
quarter
week,
went against me.
I asked you what podcast you were into. You talked about it. I never got to my podcast.
Yes, I would love to hear about yours because I'm always looking for new ones.
Well, a lot of mine are board gaming and Magic the Gathering related,
I
so those
could
are
have
probably
guessed that.
less exciting. Also, pro wrestling. I listen to a lot of pro wrestling podcasts.
You know, I'm not going to dog you for that.
Stone Cold Steve Austin has an excellent podcast, and it's not all just wrestling related people. He'll have MMA people on, comedians, different stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So that's really good.
I was into wrestling when I was young. I
Actually,
think everyone was back when The Rock and Stone Cold
yeah.
Steve Austin were in it. I mean, that was like pop culture.
That
wasn't-
I remember whenever Stone Cold starts his shot, it was like you had Tommy Hilfiger and Stone Cold. Those were the two most popular brands suddenly, in high
What?
school. Like
Wait, he had a
everybody.
brand?
No, but just you think of just the amount of shirts you saw of stuff.
True.
It's like everybody had on. I was just going to pull up my podcast here and see what
See got on
what
there?
interesting stuff I had that you might. So there's one called the Andy Daly Podcast Pilot Project. It's a comedian and they do improv. And each episode is supposedly a pilot for a podcast that won't exist.
That's funny.
It's funny.
Oh, I
there's
like
a
that.
good one. One of my friends, his online handle is Benito Serrano. They have one called Apocrypha Pals, and it's two non-believers read the Bible but aren't jerks about it. And so
Oh.
they go through the Bible from like a historical perspective, and it's really interesting. I like it. I've learned a lot.
See,
from
this
that.
is why I like hearing about these because there are so many things. There are so many podcasts now.
I know which is handy for us because we're in the car a lot.
Yeah.
Drive a lot. That's the one thing a lot of people may not realize about you. After you're done in the morning show,
Mm-hmm.
you're usually off to some story and.
Yep.
I'm
And
driving
it takes
one.
me 45 minutes to get home, at least.
One other one I like, it has a local connection. It's called Cult Faves. It is local author Gwenda Bond.
Mm-hmm.
She's written a few different things, including novelization of, I guess, a Stranger Things prequel coming up.
Ooh.
Yeah, so she's a pretty big deal. And her and another author have a podcast all about cults.
I've listened to
So-
some cult podcasts, and they're
Yeah.
interesting.
So that's interesting.
They
so
really
that's,
are.
I've got more. We'll get more podcastception.
Comedian podcasts are always good.
Those are
though.
big. Jay
I'm
Moore's
with
got
you
a good
that.
one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, big
Chris
into
D'Elia
all
is
those.
one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah? Okay,
I
I
think
know
he's
who he is.
not as well known. I
know
tried
who
to
he
get
is.
tickets. He's coming to the Singletary Center. So if you hear this, Chris D'Elia, hook a girl up. Doubt this is going to get to you, but I would love it.
All right. Well, yeah. If somebody, if this even makes it on
The
there.
tickets for his show were more expensive than our Backstreet Boys tickets.
What?
I'm dead serious.
So yeah, we'll also have a weekly countdown to Backstreet Boys next September.
It is a
You know what's
long
funny
way
is
away.
so some friends and I are planning a trip next year. We have a board game cabin weekend. It says nerdy as it sounds. So while we were planning it, I told them, well, this weekend is out because I have Backstreet Boys tickets. And all of them responded, "Oh man, your wife really owes you for that one." And
Nope.
I said, "No, I'm actually dragging her."
Honestly, I thought it was just going to be me and you at first because you said Mandy didn't want to go.
It almost was because I told her I was like, "Well, I mean, I'm going regardless." So
Right. And I was
Irregardless?
too. When I heard regardless,
I don't know. I'm bad at English. We should ask Marvin Bartlett
or Barbara,
or Barb.
who
They are resources in the
Dick
newsroom.
Gabriel,
Yeah.
also another grammar police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
He'll
good, they're
send
good.
out snarky emails, which I thoroughly enjoy,
I
even
love-
though I'm usually the person he's
I love
attacking.
snark. Yeah, no, I don't mind at all.
Yeah, I don't mind. I'm like, I need to learn. It's fine.
So we've got our Backstreet Boys countdown.
Oh, I'm so excited. Who's your
it's our
favorite
podcast.
Backstreet Boy? Ooh.
When I was younger, it was
Wait.
Howie.
Really?
Yeah.
You were I think you might be the first person I've ever heard say that.
Really?
Well, I mean, we got two local boys.
I know, but I mean, maybe that was why I liked Howie because everybody else was
He was
all
the
about the love.
underdog.
Yeah, I felt like he didn't get enough love. You know.
I thought you'd be an AJ guy.
I think AJ might be my favorite now.
Yeah, he's really good.
This is Victor talks about how macho he is.
Board games and Backstreet Boys.
Well, that's the other thing. So whenever it lists in high school, you'd put like your favorite music, and mine was like Roxette, Rob Zombie, and Garth Brooks. And that was the mix.
That's a complete sentence, a complete reaction.
Like, okay, well, there you go.
That's awesome. Everybody loves Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever met anyone who's like, not a Garth Brooks fan.
Well, I think like
not a Garth guy.
Hipsters sometimes hate on everything.
Secretly,
but I don't
secretly they love him.
I don't have a lot of irony in my body. Like if I love something, I love it. I mean, it's not.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Life is more fun when you just embrace it.
There you go.
All right. Speaking of life, let's talk about your life, Victor Puente.
Yes, let's get back to
I was the guinea pig, unfortunately, against my will.
I felt like I was very easy on you.
You were. I agree. So, but let's dive into you. I feel like I might learn some things about you. You and I are good friends, but like you say, we don't always get time to really dig deep and talk to each other because we have weird schedules that don't overlap as much as we'd like.
That's going to be the interesting part is trying to find the time to do this. I think
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I don't mind coming in. I really don't.
Yeah, if it's for a worthwhile project.
I love podcasts. I never thought I'd have one, but here we are.
Well, we still technically don't.
True. That's true.
Okay, go ahead, get started.
Okay, so let's talk about where you're from, first of all. Powell County.
Yes, Clay City.
Clay City.
Good old Powell County pirate.
A Powell County pirate. So who were you in high school? Like, how would you describe yourself?
I started off as a little bit of an outsider. So I was born in Germany because my parents were in the Army.
Already.
You seem surprised there.
I'm learning.
Yeah. So my dad's family is from Mexico/Texas. My mom's family's from Eastern Kentucky. So
how did those two get together?
In the Army.
In the Army.
They met in the Army. They came back. I'm trying to think about get my timeline right. So when I was about 18 months old, they got a divorce, as people do.
Right.
And
happens.
my mom moved back to Kentucky with me, and that was the last of my father in the picture.
Really?
Yeah. Just
See,
never.
that's something we have in common.
Well,
Mine passed away young.
I was thinking about how old were you when?
I was 9.
Oh wow. See, and so that's the thing. We both grew up without fathers, but it's different.
Right, in totally different
because,
ways. Yeah.
You obviously had someone you lost, whereas for me that was just the way it was. Like,
yeah.
It's just not. So mom and I moved back to Clay City, lived with my grandma. Clay City Indian.
Holla.
They may have changed the mascot now. I'm not sure that's politically correct. So then I went to middle school in Tennessee because my mom, we moved. I think she just wanted to change. Growing up, she worked at the sewing factory in Powell County. And so then we moved to Tennessee. I went to middle school there. Then we came back to Powell County for my freshman year. So I was a little bit of an outsider because I obviously knew people from elementary.
Grew up together.
I knew people from elementary school, but those really formative middle school years I didn't have. So, I came in, and humor was a good way to make friends.
You are funny.
And so I wouldn't say it was ever a defense mechanism because I never really felt attacked. But I was also a half Mexican kid growing up in Eastern Kentucky who didn't have a dad. So there's a little bit of a. But I never, I always felt loved. My mom was, everybody thinks they have the best mom in the world, and they're right.
That is so true.
One of my mottos, like everybody, it's like.
And they're all right.
And if you think you don't have the best mom in the world, you may be right too.
Whatever. Perception is reality when it comes to parents.
So that's one of those things that, we grew up, we were on the lower income scale, but I was never hungry.
Me too.
But,
that's why we have our shared love of goodwill.
That's the thing. And so, I wore a lot of hand-me-downs, but my clothes were always clean.
Yeah.
So that's, grew up with a lot of love. But in high school I was definitely I was literally class clown.
I wasn't popular either. I wasn't disliked at all. Like, I thankfully was not bullied, didn't have that, but I would never have called myself a cool kid.
Yeah, I played football. Started my sophomore year.
So you were definitely cooler than me.
Well, it was weird because Friday nights was football, and then Saturday was Dungeons and Dragons. So, I
feel like that's you.
I towed this line of kind of like trying to bounce between all worlds. So I never, and I remember there were, I think it was probably my freshman or sophomore year, there were like the outsider kids, the cool kids who had the colored hair and they all wore Vans. And I thought, yeah, that looks like the group I want to go hang out with. And I tried to go hang out with them. I was like, hey, you guys, how's it going? And they all just looked at me like, ugh. And so
I'm just picturing you in high school.
My hair was down to my shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we need
So, it was like, hey, guys, how's it going? And they just looked at me and it's like, well, I guess I'll go join the football team.
There you go. Why not?
So I literally was like,
did you ever have the man bun?
No. Oh, I take that back. I did. Well, not a man bun, but I wore it in like a ponytail. Yeah.
You were ahead of the curve.
Oh, boy, let me tell you.
A trendsetter.
So, yeah, then I went from high school. I told you I'd tell you. So when I was young, my mom put me in a pageant. When I was in first or second grade.
You had to inquire about my pageant history.
Yes.
Yours might be more successful than mine, was it?
Oh no, mine was very unsuccessful.
Mine wasn't totally successful either.
Well, we didn't have money for like a new suit, so I think my mom went more patriotic. And I remember I was wearing like a camouflage outfit or something.
How is that patriotic?
Because of the Army.
Oh, okay. See, I was thinking hunting. No. I wasn't thinking like military.
It wasn't that camouflage. Yeah, it was like military camouflage, and I did not win. So that was. But I was in like the 5th grade school play. Mm-hmm. I think I was in choir in middle school in Tennessee.
I loved choir.
So I did a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But after graduating, went to EKU. I actually spent a summer in Connecticut at the Coast Guard Academy. I almost went to go. That was an option.
You are a Renaissance man.
Between my junior and senior year, I spent a week at the Coast Guard Academy. They have this program where you can go and essentially you spend a week there, and then more than likely, if you are in that program, you can then get into the academy. But the issue is I have a brother who's 13 years younger than me. Mm-hmm. And when you go to any of the service academies, it's 4 years of academy and then 5 years of service after that you have to perform, and then you can go on, or at least at the time, I'm not sure if it's still the same, but that was essentially the deal. You get 4 years of service, 4 years of academy, and then you go into the Coast Guard for 5 years, and you don't get a lot of time home. And so at the time, my brother was 4. And
so you needed to help out.
Well, yeah, and so I just didn't want to be gone for 9 years and then come back and see him once a year.
Can you imagine your life would be totally different if you had taken that path? I bet.
I thought about that because it was I had signed up stuff. I mean, I was essentially ready to go. I was going to go study marine biology, and then be a Coast Guard captain.
That would have been really cool.
It would have been interesting. Yeah, it would have been.
But you still have an interesting career.
I mean, that's the thing. It ended up all right, but so I got a full ride to EKU.
Look at you, smarty pants.
I tell people there's this medium level where if you are both poor and smart, you can just get everything paid for.
That is true.
So that was nice.
That's true. See, my brother went to Berea, so he had that same path.
And so that was, between scholarships and Keys money and stuff, I was able to get school essentially paid for, except for one semester when I got a D in histoy.
Womp womp. It's like my C in Love and Friendship.
But so I went to EKU. And I remember I was, because I started off, that's the other thing, I started off as a police administration major.
Victor!
Well, I wanted to go into the Secret Service. And so that was going to be, the original path was Coast Guard into Secret Service.
Burt Macklin.
Exactly. I was so inspired.
Any Parks and Rec people, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, best FBI agent ever. So I went from Coast Guard to EKU, so police administration, because I thought, well, I could go into state police, then to Secret Service. Mm-hmm. But instead, I switched from, the more I saw police work, I realized it was hard. That's the other thing. You get a lot of respect for police work when you take those classes because you realize what all goes into it. So I went from police to, actually I started off as English teaching when I take that back.
It's a good thing you were going for free.
Yeah. So when I first signed up, it was English teaching. When I got there, I switched to police administration, then switched to journalism because I wrote for my high school paper, the Pirate Press.
I love it. Alliteration.
Yes. So we switched to journalism. Part of the journalism classes were /news/TV. I like the TV stuff more. Mm-hmm. So then I switched to broadcasting.
And here we are.
There we are.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I still remember when I from episode 1, you may have remember us discussing the station that shall not be named. I was.
You were a photographer.
I was a photographer. I was working as a server at Red Lobster. Still remember I was making a salad.
We could do a whole podcast on serving. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you learn a lot about the public when you're serving.
Yes.
So I remember I was making a salad and I got a phone call and it was the news director asking me if I wanted to come be a photographer.
You're like, heck yeah.
Yeah. So I did, and I went and had some really great opportunities. I got to cover Obama's first inauguration.
Nice.
And that was pretty cool. Trips for the NCAA. Some of the most traveling I'd ever done in my life, just because, growing up in Eastern Kentucky, we didn't really.
I didn't either.
A school trip to Washington, D.C., I think, was the furthest I
didn't even
traveled.
go to that.
Yeah.
We had that night even go, like you said, we didn't have any money.
Yeah, well, same way. That's the thing. I mean, it was, so so that was cool. And then around 2008 or 2009, there were no one-man bands in the Lexington market. Phil Pendleton was in Southern Kentucky doing it for us. He was, I think, the first really in the area.
So for people who don't know what that is, that may be an inside term. What is a one-man band?
Also known as an MMJ, multimedia journalist. It is someone who is both a photographer and reporter. So essentially when I get out to a scene, I get out my camera, I shoot the video, then I interview people, then I write my stories. I step in front of the camera to shoot my ins and outs. The things you see on camera. Yeah, essentially you do it all, and so that's what we call it. That's why we call it a one-man band. And so Phil Pendleton was really the only one doing that in Central Kentucky, but he was in Southern Kentucky doing it, and they decided they wanted some here in Lexington. And so at the time, the station I worked at, I said I would be interested in doing this, but
come from behind the camera.
Yeah, that was my thought. Switch around. Mm-hmm. And they appreciated it, but essentially told me they wanted somebody with more experience, which I can understand because at that point I had no on-camera experience.
We're one of those businesses where it's like
it's hard to get your foot in the door.
They're like, you have to have this much experience, and you're like, but
well, how do I get that experience?
I can't get any.
So at the same time, while I was working there as a photographer, I'd worked with a lot of really good reporters who I'm still real good friends with, and one of them, Sarah Lane, she was helping me shoot stand-ups. And so I was able to put together a reel is a videotape, basically an audition.
Show them your stuff.
Yeah, and so then one of my other friends, Tamara Evans, who worked here for a while, was here at the time. I gave her my tape. She got it to the news director. And so both stations essentially were hiring one-man bands at the same time, and they decided to give me a chance.
Here at WKYT.
At WKYT.
Nice.
So I jumped ship.
Thank goodness.
I still remember. So that was the other thing. Whenever you leave the station there, they would always give you a cake, and everybody would come in to say goodbye. Ooh. And so it's kind of awkward for me because they're like, "Here's Victor's cake."
He's going down the street.
I'll see you all around.
That's funny.
So that was a little awkward, but I've still got friends who work there, and it's a small world, but yeah, then I came here, and things have gone pretty well. Yeah. I started anchoring. I was about to say,
2
years
moved.
Ago.
I mean, you've really started from the bottom.
I mean, that's the thing. I've done it all, and it was just ambition. I feel like I should have been anchoring before then, but I just didn't take the initiative, to do it. I'm not quite as much of a self-starter as you are. Like hearing you talk about how you said, "Look, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to bother them until they give me a chance." I'm like, man. That must be nice.
I don't know if that's really a good thing in general in life.
It works in this business. But it worked
here, yeah.
So essentially, it got to the point I think where I realized, I need to be doing this.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy it so much, and
you're good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So 2 years now I've been doing it. Me and Lauren Miner, she'll be coming back soon. By the time you're listening to this,
the baby boom.
She may be back next week.
We could have a baby boom podcast.
Oh, all those babies on.
Yes.
Nothing like listening to a bunch of babies.
Well, I was thinking the moms more than the babies.
That too.
I don't know if they're ready for a podcast quite yet.
So now I've been anchoring. Things are going well.
Yeah. How has it been? Was it surprising to you? Did anchoring come easily, or what were you most surprised about?
It was harder than I expected. Mm-hmm. The weird thing about it is once you get good at it, and I'm not saying I'm great, but I think I'm fine.
You're good.
Yeah.
I'll say it for you.
Okay, thanks. So once you get good at it, it's easy. Mm-hmm. I feel like it just flows and it's natural. But getting good at it is work.
Oh, I was terrible.
I did not. The first time I did an anchor read, I went back and I watched it, and it looked like I was falling asleep while I was reading. I said, I have, because the guy who was recording it, he said, okay, good job, well, that's done. I said, thanks. So I go back and I watch it, and I said, that was not good. He should have told me, dude, this sucks.
I had the opposite problem. I was always smiling. I think where I came from pageants, I was used to just pasting it on, and you can't smile through most stories we cover.
This house fire, isn't it? Yeah, that sounds so.
So I had to work on my expression, being a little more serious.
Up the energy, because I'm so used to being out on scene, and I think that's one of the other weird things about being on camera in general is that I tell new people is it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel like you're over the top.
But it won't look like that.
That's for it to look good on TV. You have to feel like you're doing too much.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, one thing you mentioned earlier that I didn't realize, you spent time living with your grandparents.
My mom and I lived with my grandmother most of my life growing up. Yeah, there were stretches when we would move away on our own, and then we would move back. One of the reasons we moved back from Tennessee was because my grandfather passed away, and so then we moved in with my grandma to kind of help take care of her.
See, I lived with my grandparents my whole life, and I think that makes you a little bit different.
I agree.
Maybe this is explaining why we are the way we
are. Yeah. Well,
I think we're both kind of old souls in a way.
Oh, no. I mean, I would come in during the summer. My grandmother, love her to death. She'd say, okay, it's 1 o'clock. Everybody stop. We got to watch my stories. And so then we would watch All My Children and One Life to Live. And that was, so during the summer I would get hooked. And then I'd go back to school and be like, oh, I wonder what Haley's up to.
Do you remember Passions?
Oh, I loved Passions. I watched that in college. But that's
too.
The other difference, because I'm about 10 years older than you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Passions for me was college. That's probably what, high school for you?
Yeah, I was watching it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Little With the Timmy. Witch. The random witch. I
remember when Timmy died. I was so sad.
Oh, that was heartbreaking.
He died in real life, and I was like, oh,
that was really tough.
Yeah, it was sad.
I think maybe that might be the reason you love wrestling so much.
Because it's so much like a soap opera.
It is a soap opera.
It is a soap opera.
It is.
That's the thing, And it was It was something. It was kind of superheroes come to life for me.
Yeah.
And then as you get older,
who was your favorite?
Well, growing up, I was a big Hulk Hogan guy.
Yeah.
And then he did some stuff that made him less popular.
I honestly don't know what that is, but we can talk about that off.
It's very easy to find if you look.
Yeah.
It's not. Well, they actually brought him back recently, so I guess they're rehabbing him. And then Triple H was big, and then currently probably Finn Balor, Shinsuke Nakamura. I'll show you these guys later.
I'm excited. Yeah. I could fall back into it really easily.
You should. It's so easy.
I know I could.
$10 a month, WWE Network. They're not even paying us for that.
$10 a month.
It's worth it.
Like I said, I'm trying to get Chris D'Elia tickets. You try to get you some wrestling tickets. We're gonna ride this wave all the way.
It's gonna be good. So yeah, that was something. Yeah, growing up watching soap operas with my grandma.
That's awesome.
And then my mom was real big into science fiction and stuff. So I think that's where a lot of that came from. I remember she had old Dungeons and Dragons books from when she played, and I remember finding them and being, ooh, what is this?
Now, I think when most people look at you, they don't look at you and say, oh, I bet he plays board games.
Look at this big nerd.
Right, but you are. Self-proclaimed. That's
no,
not me.
I'm not. Yeah, I have no.
I love that you're so into it.
I have, a board game collection. I've got giant shelves of it, and it started off, probably in middle school when I started playing Dungeons and Dragons, and then eventually that is a big time commitment because you have to, to play a game of that 6 or 7 hours. So eventually switched over to board games because you can just get together. And for me, it's not even when I pick up these things. I mean, part of it is just the neat bits, but I think I'm envisioning the time that I'm spending with people, or the fun that I'm having with people.
Absolutely.
And that you're connecting. We've played games together before. We had a great game of Code Names.
Ooh,
when you
I'm fun to play
jump
with
the gun.
I'm so bad. I'd never
but
played
it's very
this
memorable.
game before. Oh yeah, I agree. Anytime that you can hang out with people, who cares what you're doing?
Yeah, and so I think that's part of what I like about it. I'm not a big sports fan,
but sporting events are fun.
Yeah.
Just because you're hanging out with your friends.
I mean, that's the thing. I have no desire to watch a baseball game on TV. But I'll be happy to go to a baseball game and hang out with friends and watch and So I think that's for me a lot of it is just the time spent.
Is there a whole hidden world? I feel like that's one of those things.
Yes.
Like I had the pageant world that people don't realize how deep it goes. I feel like you have that same world in gaming.
So I used to play competitive Magic the Gathering, and that's a whole big thing. You'll travel 4 or 5 hours away on a weekend to go to a big tournament with 1,200 people, and so that's. I don't do that as much. But yeah, my wife and I went to Gen Con last year in Indianapolis.
Is that how you two met?
No, that we met. That's a whole other story. We'll get into that some other time.
Okay.
But we went to Gen Con, which is, I think this year had 100,000 people.
Wow.
It's just packs downtown Indianapolis. It's a 4-day event, and so that was a good time. Although they have meetups and it was out at this big brewery, and I remember she was really tired, and so. It's like, well, that was kind of a bummer. But then we got back on Monday, and it turned out the reason she was tired was because she was pregnant.
Ooh.
So.
Plot twist.
I was like, oh, all right, well, I guess she has a pretty good excuse for being tired.
Yeah. Well, okay, I love people. I love people's origin stories. We're going to go through your marriage origin story. So how did you and Mandy get together?
Well, we met.
I love your wife, by the way.
Yeah, I do too. So
do you love her too?
That works out.
Well.
Yeah. A lot of people are a fan of hers. She's, it takes a special person to put up with me.
That's yes.
So we met. It was a weekend at Keeneland. She had been out, but we did not meet at Keeneland. I just know that she was at Keeneland beforehand. Mm-hmm. A friend and I were out at a bar, the Penguin.
Ooh.
And my friend Cyrus and I, we were out there, and she saw us and thought that we were together.
Interesting.
Yes. And so she comes up and starts talking to us.
Very close friends.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got a lot of friends. And so, yeah, she thought that my friend Cyrus and I were a couple. And came up and started talking to us.
So there was no pressure on her.
Yeah,
she
that's
could be
it.
so cool.
So she literally, at the time I had a girlfriend and she had a boyfriend. And actually, I take that back. I think at the time I was single. But, so yeah, Cyrus and I were like, oh, this girl's just coming up hitting on us. Good for go us. And so then finally one of her other friends came over who I also knew and said, how do you know Victor? She said, oh, I didn't. I was just talking to him. And once she realized what was up, she decided she would play wingman. And she spent the night trying to introduce me to other women.
I love this. Yeah. Okay, when did the change happen?
Yeah, obviously, but it turned out we had similar friends, and so we kept seeing each other at events and different things. And eventually, her and the guy she was dating broke up, and I think even between then, I dated somebody else. But we just kept seeing each other and just kept.
I think that makes a difference, being friends with someone first.
And we just realized how much we enjoyed being around each other.
Aww.
And so then we had a fun time talking to each other, and it just went from there.
She's cool.
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
Yeah, you outkicked your coverage, I think.
Thanks. That's the goal, isn't it?
I mean, think so.
To be the one in the relationship that everybody's looking at you going, you did pretty good. And you're like, yeah.
I know.
Yeah. So, yeah. That's, and then we got married 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm. So first there was the pug, right? Was that your first
Actually,
child?
The first child, she had a dog, Ruby.
Ruby.
She was at the time when we met, I think she was 13. 14,
that just sounds like an old name,
lab.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. She was sweet. She was a sweet dog. So that was Ruby, the lab. And then we got a pug, Barnabas. And then, that was in between. And then Ruby passed away, and Barnabas passed away shortly after. He had seizures.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah, it was sad.
Yeah.
So that happened, and then we liked
Pugs.
having a pug so much we decided we'd get another one. So that's when we found Vader.
Those are love 'em or hate 'em dogs,
They are, I know.
And we both love them.
Vader was a farm dog. When we found him, it was some people in Ohio who were just getting rid of him because
did he work?
No.
On the farm?
But he lived on it. When we pulled up to this house, he comes running up, and he was all wet because he'd been playing in a lake.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, but it was
He's
this
just a
family
good old
who
boy.
They just had a kid, and the dad had got hurt in an accident or something, so they just couldn't handle
it.
Yeah. So we brought him home, and now he is definitely a city dog, and he's
spoiled rotten.
And he is spoiled. But his life changed quite a bit about 6-7 months ago.
Yes, let's get into that. I mean, huge life change for you. You got a baby.
Veracet.
So I think a lot of people want to know about that name.
The name is, so whenever we were doing our wedding invitations, my wife, she has an Aunt Sivvy, and so we're going through the names, and she goes, who's Veracet? And it turned out that was her Aunt Sivvy's real name.
Oh, wow, and she never knew.
She never knew it, because growing up, she just always referred to her as that. So we liked the name that much, and so then we changed a few letters around. But
I love it. It's beautiful. I like unique names.
We call her Vera. But we're still trying to figure out if we're calling her Vera or Vera.
I had a mini panic attack when your baby was born.
Well, we're still doing it, so don't feel bad.
I was like, I'm pretty sure he said Veracet, but then I think he also said Vera, and I was like, I'm getting one of them wrong.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody keeps calling her Vera, so we're like, maybe we'll just go with that.
Yeah, she's young enough; she can adapt.
She'll figure it out when she gets older.
She'll be fine.
So she's awesome.
Now, is she? I don't have kids, so I don't know when those milestones hit. So is she starting to develop a personality yet? Like, when does that happen?
Yes, she obviously recognizes us. She likes to bounce around a lot. She rolls a lot. She's got a little bit of personality. She's cute. She's so cute.
And she was born with so much hair.
She came out with a full head. She lost a little bit of it for a while, so she kind of looked like a 50-year-old man with like male pattern baldness, especially when we wash it and slick it back.
Aww.
But yeah, apparently I had a full head of hair too. My mom said
really? I was bald for years. They taped bows to my head.
We don't have to tape them, but Mandy's mom came over one time and looked in the crib, and there was all this hair in there, and she goes, "Did Vader get in here? Why is it?" She thought the dog had shed.
Because Vader is a black pug.
Yeah.
And Vera has dark hair.
It's just Vera's hair.
There's just hair everywhere.
Yeah, our whole house is full.
Hair everywhere. You poor thing.
But yeah, we like having the kid. It was a bit of an adjustment.
Yeah.
Turns out daycare is not cheap.
No.
So yeah, life changed a little bit.
Life changes a lot.
It's been very rewarding.
Yeah. Well, I'm so happy for you and your family. I think that's awesome. It's just growing.
Well, it was fun to be part of the baby boom here at the station because.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, everything.
So
exploded.
many babies. Yeah. So many babies.
That was part of, I was surrounded by pregnant women forever.
You really were. Because Lauren Miner, your co-anchor on the weekends, was pregnant about the same time as your wife.
Yeah, so she, a few months after Vera came, her boys came, Finn and Nash. So.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like an uncle?
I do.
A dad,
uncle? A little bit, yeah.
All at the same
time? A little
time?
bit of ownership. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of uncles.
Oh, yeah. So Lauren has the twins, in case you all didn't hear about that. She got 2 at once.
And then she already had Landon, so.
Yeah, 3 babies.
She's surrounded by men.
I know. We got to get her in here soon.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear because she's worked a few different places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ask her how that.
We're excited to talk to a bunch of people, get to know people.
Yeah, I
mean,
there's people around. So many people who we kind of know. I don't want to say superficially, but you don't really know their story.
Yeah.
It's just going to be exciting to hear them.
And it's not because we don't want to.
Yeah, we're just busy.
Yeah. So that's why we're doing this. We want to get to know everybody better.
Yeah. So hopefully you all have enjoyed this, getting to know Andrea and I a little bit better. Yeah.
I learned stuff about you I didn't know.
See? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Vice versa.
Yeah, you're very interesting.
Thanks.
A lot of layers.
Like an onion.
A lot of layers
right.
there. Like an onion.
All right. Well, everybody, you can find me online at the Victor Puente, or just search Victor Puente. Why would you think it's 2 E's?
I don't know, because
like it's old English.
I guess it's not the Victor Puente.
That's true. I guess it would be the Victor Puente.
But the sounds better.
Yeah.
I'm just trying. I want to make sure that you get your following. Okay.
Oh, I definitely need those followers. Let me tell you.
Takes off,
when you all see the ridiculous stuff I post on Twitter, you'll definitely want to.
Actually, you are a good follow. You're funny.
I just when you follow people that make you roll your eyes, it's like, well, even if it's just 3 seconds, it's like don't waste my time with something that's.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
You're worth it.
I do what I can.
You're worth it.
Thank you. Ooh, baby, you're worth it. I don't know what the rules are on that. I think we're allowed to use 3 seconds of a song.
I don't know that anyone even recognized that the way you just said.
Yeah, no, the way I butchered that. So, yeah. Sing. Tune in to hear more of us making fun of each other.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. And like we said, we're excited to be on the same team. See, yeah. I think we felt like we were both nervous, I think, to talk about ourselves.
Andrea was so scared. She goes, oh my goodness, I don't want to talk about myself.
Yeah, I really was.
I think people want to know about you.
I know. I think, and I think that as we talk to other people, you're going to find out more about us as well.
Yeah.
Because, you relate to people.
Stuff will come out.
Yeah, just random topics will come to light. Who knows what we'll talk about next?
All right. Well, everybody, tune in next week when we'll be talking to someone. We have ideas. We think we know who. Yeah, you all will see it. I guess by the time you see it pop up in your podcast feed, you'll know who it is.
You'll know.
But I'm really excited to see all the different shows that we're going to be putting on this WKYT podcast feed.
Yeah, we've already got a
Amber's,
few.
I enjoyed that. She's going outside of the station. Mm-hmm. And so we're focusing more inside the station. And
and we may expand at some point. But for now, we're going to start with our people and kind of get to know our WKYT family a little more. Huh?
Yeah. So that'll be fun. Well, everybody, thank you all for listening, and have a good week.
Bye.